Hi everybody, it's Natalie Sisson and welcome back to our second video in this series on how to create a sales page that converts. And I'm really excited today to be here with Karl Staib once again and to actually unveil the changes for both my BizShop page and my BYOB page. So just remember, this has all taken place since the last video, so a quick turnaround of around a week, and we just wanted to show you what's possible. So let's reveal the new BizShop page, and Karl's going to talk us through the changes, and we'll both talk about what you think about it and what else we can do to improve.
All right, look at that.
Isn't she a beauty?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here today. I love the new changes that you have.
And look at how amazing your advice has been, Karl.
We joked about that before we started recording.
Yeah, how did you phrase it? I loved it. Say it again. You've got to say it. It's brilliant.
I'm amazed by how fantastic my advice is.
That's right. And huge thanks to my WordPress guru designer, Alex, who managed to turn this around in such a short space of time. He is incredible. I feel very lucky to have him on board. And so between Karl and myself, we've kind of updated the copy. I did a lot of editing of the copy, shortened it down, and then talked Alex through the designs that I wanted. And it's all been based off the video that hopefully you would have seen and the notes that Karl made. So this is the result. So do you just want to maybe go down, Karl, and give me your feedback and your thoughts on this, things that you like, things that we can still improve on, and yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So if people haven't seen the first video, when you first landed on the BizShop page, it was the same header that you have on your main page and blog, which meant that you had the more links in there. You had your email sign up. When you have a sales page, you want to keep it as simple and focused as possible. So that's what we talked about, and you came up with this design here, and it's fantastic. It keeps focused. Your best-selling product is at the top, the BYOB, and we talked about where we want that to be and how we want people to focus on that. But that's not everything that you do and how you help people. So what we did was, your designer actually put those breaks in, and then we had a quick chat about that too, and adding those little subtle arrows right here that point the people down. So, if they're not, if they've already maybe started building their business online and they want something maybe a little bit more advanced, then they can keep scrolling down this page. This is one thing. Go ahead.
Love that suggestion. No, I love that suggestion of the arrows. That made a big difference. Like, it naturally leads your eye down the page.
Yeah, and it just those little triggers that a lot of times you don't even notice. They're subtle, but they keep people pushing in a direction that you want them to. You don't want them to hit your biz page and click away right away. You want them to look around and browse a little bit. So one thing, instead of the links, you're using these buy now buttons, and that can really draw attention. It shows people exactly what they can do. They can buy it now. And that's something that you might want to play with. You might want to try the different colors that you have in your BYOB book. It's surprising. You probably don't want to use blue because you use blue in your heading already, so it get lost. But sometimes green or orange works well too.
Yeah,
and
green,
also,
orange. In fact, all the colors in the BYOB title I've known from research are great colors for call to action buttons.
yes.
Yeah, which is pretty funny actually when I look at it that way. But those colors in particular have been proven to be very effective in converting people to click on buttons, especially the green and the orange.
Yes, and it really pops for people, and your eye is drawn to that.
Yeah.
One thing that you might want to try out with this is testing with the copy of your button. Buy now, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people, not that they feel rushed, but add to cart actually
Mm-hmm.
works really well because it's kind of a little more subtle. They
Mm-hmm.
understand that add to cart, but it doesn't feel quite as, pushy to people. So,
Yeah, I think I really like that suggestion. However, I always feel like add to cart, when people come to my site, I want it to be something different. And I'd prefer to have something maybe fun, more fun, like buy me, and then another one that says, take me with you kind of thing. And I know that may sound strange, but I really like it being more friendly and a little bit more kind of amusing at the same time. So that might be not a great strategy, but I've seen some cool buttons on other people's sites that make me want to click, like gimme or gimme now kind of thing, which is a little bit more, it's got a little bit of humor behind it. And actually with this buy now and the learn more, I had a good look at other people's sites, and I really like Chris Gillibo's sites where he sells his guides, and I noticed that he just used buy now generically throughout his sales page and a learn more or a find out more. So initially that's why I went with this, but I do like your idea of changing the color and potentially playing around with the wordings. So I'll watch the conversion rates on this, and then I'll play around. And just to ask that question, how long do you usually suggest, Karl, that people should keep something in place before they test it and test out buttons and colors and call to actions? Like, what's a good length of time to be able to test that if you can't have two different types of the same sales page to split test?
the length just depends on how many people hit that page. And I would say between probably like 300 to 800, you'll get a pretty good idea, visitors of to your page and what they do. And
Perfect.
I would say less than 200, you probably aren't getting a good view of if it's better, because you get different types of people coming, so you want to get a good sample size. The larger the sample size, the less you're going to um, come back to the median. And what that means is if you had 1,000 or 5,000, you're going to see less of a fluctuation from person to person. You're going to see really what's working for you and what's not. Yeah, and also too, the a lot of times, which I'm working with a client that says, get the guide now. And at first I was like, get the guide, like, but it works for him. And has a very conversational tone. And it performs like 2% better than the buy button. So
That's
something to think
interesting.
about
All
there
right, so
too.
we get to play around.
So as you scroll down, you can see you're getting a good gist. Oh, we forgot about the copy too. You receive your blueprint to creating your own location independent business. We talked about
Mm-hmm.
really putting in the benefits in your copy, and that's exactly what this does. I think you had something along the lines of you can also have this in audio and take it with you on the
Mm-hmm.
move.
Mm-hmm.
So that really, for me, that hits home. I'm like, okay, if I'm one a location independent business, that gets me excited.
And the other thing that's on this page that people will hopefully notice from the first video is the images of all the products are much larger. And when I first came to look at this page and Alex hadn't made that change, they looked tiny next to it, and they just looked really just like insignificant. And now they're like big and bold, and they're great designs. So I'm really excited that they're actually getting the attention that they deserve.
And if we keep scrolling down, you know, you're right. The
Ta-da!
images pop and the arrows, keep you going down. And this is what you're trying to do. Kind of keep on moving down that page, looking at these offers, taking a glance, reading the first paragraph or two, and then hitting that button and finding out more, or purchasing the product itself. So
Oh, I've just spotted a typo in my own copy. See, this is good. This is why you pull it up on the screen. This is what happens when you're constantly tweaking copy. Always good to read back over it. But as we said, we had a pretty tight turnaround on this to show people what's possible to get done. For all of you perfectionists out there who stick on something and you don't release it until it's perfect, hopefully we're proving to you that it's all about testing and improving and tweaking as you go.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you know, this looks good, and but it's a lot of hard work, you know. Natalie has a designer. She had me come in and give her suggestions, and she's gone back herself. It takes
Yeah.
time. Sales pages, it's one of the things that I tell my clients, work on your sales page right away. Don't wait until your product's done and your launch is, you know, next week, because it's stressful, and you know, it's probably the most important page for your business, you know, for capturing those sales, because it's telling people, it's giving people that story, it's explaining, you know, what it is that you're offering and why they should buy it. And if, you know, taking that time to really hone it and craft it makes all the difference, and people feel that, and they're more likely to trust you and hit that buy button.
Definitely, and I did just want to note to the people listening, I don't technically have a designer, but my WordPress guy, Alex Reyes, is amazing, and he's also got just a really good eye for design, so he can do those buttons and do beautiful things within limitations, and I love the clean look of it, so we're on the same page when it comes to that, which is fantastic. And I also do a little bit of coding, although Alex, if he's going to watch this, will laugh because I screwed up his code today on the BYOB that we'll come to, and I was horrified, and I had to completely redo a lot of stuff. So I was able to fix my coding, but I always think if you're not a coder, don't mess with the code. Big lesson. I should have learned it myself. I was playing around because I like it. Don't mess with the code is my great piece of tip, unless you're really good at it. Hey, one thing at the bottom here, I'm yet to take off the share buttons at the bottom, which you suggested doing, so those will go. With the two actions that are down here, do you think that's a little bit too much? Essentially, I would like people to learn about my affiliate program, and I do get quite a lot of people who come through here and suggest that they'd like to be part of that and promote my products, and I love you. Thank you for that. But also I'm keen for people to get onto the product launch update list, because I keep my list very separate. I do not sell to my newsletter list. That's just pure information and value. So this is the only way they'll really hear about new products that I'm launching. So it's quite a small and exclusive list that's growing. But I'm wondering actually if they'd be better separated side by side, or whether I should give preference to one or the other. What do you think?
My gut reaction says right now they're laying on top of each other, and they're kind of, you know, squeezing each other's attention.
Sounds kind of sexy.
Sorry,
but I had to say that.
I like them both, and I like the fact that it's at the bottom. You know, if people haven't found something that they like at this point, but they want more information, it's there. But yeah, it's good to let people know, like, hey, if you got a blog and, you know, you want a 60% commission, which by the way is really good. Whoever is listening, usually a lot of people do between like 30 to 50%. So, you know, that's fantastic.
I like to reward my affiliates.
Yeah. So yeah, I would think about maybe even, you know, splitting them up, you know, like one on the left, one on the right. And then, you know, kind of, because yeah, you just want something that, so they're not kind of laying on top of each other.
Yeah, and would you suggest maybe a little a subtle green button, or potentially a bit of a button to say, you know, like sign up here and join my program, or just keeping it simple within the text?
I would test both, and the reason is because yeah, the blue link, it does get lost because of the rest of the site has a lot of blue in it, especially this page, like the header and these arrows. So try a little green button, that would be good, or a red one, just to, if you want to fit in with the design that you have. But yeah, I think if you separate them, you're going to be able to draw attention to them separately. So yeah, I think that would help.
Perfect. So should we go on to the BYOB page, which is the second one that we looked at in the first video?
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oop, I went to eJunkie.
Oh yeah, don't click on the Buy Now link because that takes you directly to Buying Now. That's what the button says. Says what it does on the label.
So that's something you might want to add there, or maybe bold a little, learn more, because your eye is so drawn to Buy Now that people might they might skip over learn more.
Okay.
So that's something you maybe put a little emphasis there, or bold that a little bit, and then that way they can, if they want to learn a little bit more, not ready to buy, then they can do that too. So yes, this is the BYOB page. I love it. I think it's, like you said, it's clean, it's simple. We got rid of the header at the top with the links as well as the email sign up. You still have your logo, so people still know that they're on your page. And then we talked about the copy a little bit. We talked about what it is to, create that narrative, suck people in, and then hit them with the offer. Before, I believe you had the title and the subhead, and then you had some testimonials. So this is, we talked about creating telling people a little bit about your story, because a lot of times they might not have gone to your about page. They might have only read one or two articles, and they're excited and they're ready to buy. And this gives them a little bit more understanding of who you are and why you're an expert in this field and why this book is going to help them. So we added these, so under here, we added these 3 paragraphs, tell a little bit about you, what it is, and how you've put your heart and soul into this and how you've worked really hard. And then we then moved into the testimonial. You grew the size of the book. One thing that you might want to think about is taking away these links here. And I know that
not actually linking off to their website.
Not actually linking to their
giving
website.
Them credit for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about that. Nothing wrong with sharing other people's websites, and you do a great job of that in your blog. But when you want people when people hit your sales page, you want them to stay there. I mean, like we said, you're running a business. The best way to keep them there is not have any reason for them to click away. Okay, so we go down the page.
Cool. Just one thing before you go on, actually. Just when you were hovering over the book, that's something else that I'd like people to note, is when you're inserting images into any page on your blog post, on your pages on your website, give it a name that is descriptive of the page. So you notice when Karl was hovering over that, it actually said, build your online business. I could probably name it something else, even build your online business guide. But what was when you were hovering before. But the point is, I see too many people who have an image and it says insert pretty image, or it'll say something, and I'm just like, you're missing an opportunity there to put a descriptive keyword within the description of your image that does actually get searched on by Google. So always label your images appropriately for the page or blog post. Just one little tip that a lot of people miss.
As we move down the page, then we have the 12 chapters, which I love. I like that, it gives a description of everything that you're including in there. We have, you added photos too. And that is powerful because it shows people.
I did. I grabbed them from the lovely people. That is powerful.
And it shows people this is a real person. This is somebody that loved your book and got a lot of value out of it.
One more tip for people who are watching this, where to source images. Obviously, you can ask the person who gave you the testimonial, but I actually have to say I find Google Images and LinkedIn brilliant, especially LinkedIn, because most people put up a semi-professional photo of themselves, and it's always in an 80 by 80 or 100 by 100 square format already. So you can often just copy the image URL by right-clicking on it on LinkedIn and pasting that into your page here. So you get a lovely square that's already pre-formatted. And when they change their image in LinkedIn, your image gets updated as well. So that's just one thing to think about, or you can host the image on your own site. So you can save it as a file to your computer and upload it as your own file. Just some little tips there for making your life easier.
Then you have a couple more testimonials, and then you have your offer. And this is, we talked about this before we pressed the record button, and you talked about possibly moving this up to where?
Just above those two testimonials, actually, because there's just below the chapters.
Okay.
Just because if people are already kind of convinced from there, then it's quite nice to have it, and they have to scroll down past more testimonials. I don't know. I think that'll be an interesting one to test. I prefer not to have like a big in-your-face, buy it now button on the sales page too early on, and we were just talking about that. But I think also when people are interested, they want to go to it immediately, and if you've kind of pushed it down the page, that means they have to take an extra step in scrolling down.
Yeah, so this is something that, and that's just testing. It's seeing what happens when your perfect buyer, your core followers, what they like and what they don't like. You know, for you, it might work to put above the testimonials. For somebody else, it might not. And you might increase your conversion rate by 2 to 3%, or it might lower it. So just depends on, you know, what type of mind frame your people are in when they hit the sales page. Mm-hmm. And you have the buy buttons like we've talked about. You didn't do much changing here.
We've just added some color in there to the BYOB, so trying to keep that. And I think I can probably change the blue ones out to different colors potentially. You know, maybe make the one on the left orange, and then the one on the right keep it blue or keep it green. So really still focusing on the one that we would like people to go for, but just testing that. I think that would be a good test using the colors within the BYOB.
Exactly. Yeah, again, we have these arrows again, as people can see, and it's that psychological keep on moving down the page. And I love that the arrow is right above the one that you want people to buy, the complete package. And I say that because, you know, you don't really pay attention to it, but the arrow points down there, and you start on this one first, which you would anyway, but it's just an extra little, you know, bonus that, you know, this fits together so nicely.
Pointing people in the right direction. I have to put that credit all to Alex, because that's arrow. This is why I love him.
So, yes, testing out the buttons is always a good idea. See what works, what doesn't. And so, yeah, we keep on going down the page. Here's more testimonials with people's images, much more powerful, gets people checking them out. And as people can see, it's basically a box that has a background color, which makes it pop a little bit more. And that's nice because, you know, as people are scrolling, they'll know right away this is a testimonial. And if they've read every testimonial up to this point, they might want to skip over a few, so then they can keep going, and then it goes back to the white color. And you've got a new image here, and it really highlights. It's a good highlight for what you're doing, what's in the book, how it looks, and, you know, that's what people want to see. They want to see that you put a lot of time and effort into this, and the more time and effort that you put into this, into design, in the copy, into the sales page, the more likely they're going to, you know, understand that, you know, you're there to deliver a ton of value, and it's worth the $57 that they're going to plunk down. So, good job, Natalie. I like this image.
Now, two notes on that. Thank you. Thank you. I actually want to change it up a little. I would quite like to have a SlideShare presentation in there where I can actually show 4 or 5 pages with a little bit of information around it. So almost acting as a kind of static video that I do not have on this page, and showing a few more of the pages within the book. So that's one potential option. So it's embedded, but other people can also still find it through SlideShare and then be drawn to this page. And the other thing I just wanted to note was some of the testimonials I actually worked on cutting down. I think people have provided such lovely information, so I wanted to keep it in there. But if you have a testimonial that's too wordy, people won't actually read it. So I still think some of them could be cut down even further, but sometimes it's hard to not to cut out things that are really valuable. So I've worked on trying to minimize those but still make them insightful so that people can go, okay, yeah, I hear her, I resonate with him, etc.
That's, that's another thing you can try out. I've had clients go both ways where they put short testimonials in and the conversion rate goes down, and because part of the story of what you do and what you do well is what people say about it. And I know when I'm on Amazon and I'm shopping around, I like to read the testimonials. I like to see what people say about it. I don't read every one, and that's something that you have to really work on and see which ones are the most powerful, and add to your story. But it's a process, and kind of figuring that out and working with them and testing some testimonials out. You might want to put some in, pull one out, and then see what happens. Testing is tedious, people, but
Exactly.
it really does help. So, and what we did, if I remember correctly, the BYOB had these buy now buttons like about halfway down, and then there wasn't any more buy now buttons. They would have to scroll back up.
Yeah, it was just one actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one.
So now you added these down here. This is the bottom of the page, and if people are ready to buy, they have those buy now buttons right at their fingertips. And that's what you want. You want people, when they're ready to buy, to be able to click and add it to cart, buy it now, and away they go with their great information and starting working on their own, build it your own business. So
would it be advisable here, Karl, to switch out the buy now on one of these areas to add to cart, or get it now, to see if that makes a difference in which of the buttons are more clickable?
you mean from the middle to the bottom?
Yeah.
So the reason that would be tough, and you probably would want to do both, at least for 200 to 300 visitors. And I say that because it just depends on if you could figure out how they're going to eJunkie, then yes, by which button. So then way you can know, oh, they're going to eJunkie here versus here. But I think if you have it at the bottom and don't have it at the top, people might be just more willing to come to the bottom and click that buy button no matter what, if you have the buy now or add to cart. Does that make sense?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I
I'll
would
actually be
suggest
using this through Infusionsoft, so I think there are actually individual tracking links for every click on the page, so I'll be able to report on that as well.
Yeah, so then that's something that you can do, but it would still be a little tricky because you're halfway through here, people have a different mentality than if they're down here. Does that, you know what I mean? Like maybe they're not quite ready to buy, but they would have bought no matter what the button said at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then we talked about leaving these shares down here, these share buttons, because it gives some nice social proof. When you have 146 people liking your sales page, you know you're doing something good. It's very rare that people will actually share a sales page on social media. And so that's something positive and something that you want people to see. So Natalie, fantastic job. I'm curious if what the conversion rate will be over the next few days. You never know what happens. Sometimes you make changes and your audience is kind of shocked and they might not buy right away. But I really think this is going to help your conversion rate. I think it's going to be significant, and I can't wait to hear about the results.
Thank you, and thank you for all your advice and great insight, and cover what we're going to be talking about in the third video. So a couple of fundamentals, proper tips from Karl, maybe even looking at a couple of other pages from people who have commented below this video, and we can also throw in some results after the first couple of weeks of having these new pages in place.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Hopefully everybody watching and listening got a ton of good tips and ideas for their own sales page.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Karl, and thanks everybody for listening. And we will see you in the next video.